The dead bug exercise is a very common core strengthening exercise that people do with different activities, especially associated with yoga and Pilates. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not doing this exercise correctly and they have no idea. So if when you do this exercise, if you feel like you're rotating and rocking, you're probably not doing it correctly. Same thing if you notice that your back is really lifting up high from the ground as if you're having to arch, you're not doing this exercise properly. And another compensation that a lot of people don't even realize is a compensation is holding their breath. If you're performing core strengthening exercises and you're having to hold your breath, you're actually using the changes in the pressure itself to better stabilize you instead of using your muscles. So I'm going to show you how to properly do a dead bug, and then also show you some modifications so that way you can progress and make sure you're engaged in the appropriate muscles. So to do a dead bug exercise, we're going to have you lay down flat on your back. You could start off in a sitting position like this here, and then go onto your side and roll onto your back. The rolling can be very important for some people, especially if they have core weakness or back pain when they're transitioning into this position, because that can help to minimize the strain on that area versus you just laying straight back. Now for the dead bug exercise, you're going to activate your lower abdominal muscles, specifically a muscle called your transverse abdominis. With that muscle, I want you to imagine that on each side of the hip, you have a string that's just kind of pulling and drawing in. And as you do that, I want you to first slide your hands inward towards your midline, so towards your belly button, because I want you to use that as a cue. As you move your hands towards your belly button on your lower abdominal region, I also want for you to gently pull your belly button in and then relax off. So those are the muscles that we're trying to activate in the low core to help us stabilize in that lower abdominal region. So go ahead and gently pull the belly button in again. You're going to lift one leg up the ground at a time and also bring your arms up straight ahead. In this position, we're going to do the opposite arm and leg for our dead bug today. So I'm going to bring my right arm down with my left leg, coming down and then going back up. Now, as you perform this exercise, you want to try to avoid increased arching of the back and a lot of rocking. So notice that my spine is staying relatively still and that I am not excessively arching from the ground. So now that you've seen me do it properly a few times, I'm going to show you how to do it incorrectly. And what typically happens is people begin to arch as they go down. You just see my back lift and then come back up. And they try to hold that there. So that is not the position that we want you in for this exercise. If you're noticing that you're doing any of those movements that I mentioned in the very beginning, holding your breath or even arching like this as well, then I want you to try one of these regressions. One modification of regression that you can try is simply doing a braced march. So doing that belly button pulling again, you would just lift one leg up and coming back down. With this braced march, make sure you are breathing. You don't want to try to suck in. You just want to stabilize using the belly button as your cue. And you also want to make sure that you are exhaling. People take an inhale and then they forget to exhale. So make sure that you breathe out as well. If you want to progress your march, you can also move from marching, bringing the leg up all the way out and back up and down. Bringing the leg up, straightening it all the way out, back to bent and back down. With each of these positions, from the march and also the march where you're straightening the leg out and bringing the leg back in, you can keep the arms above head as well. With the arms above head, you're able to activate some of the oblique muscles along the rib cage, and that can give you more core involvement as you do this exercise. So I'm going to show you now, bringing my arms up overhead, belly button in. Good. And now my arms are just going to stay stationary, and I'm just going to first off with the marches, making sure you're breathing, keeping that spine relatively still. So some movement is normal, but we should not see you rocking and rolling all over the ground, okay? And now we're going to progress to bringing the leg up and out, back up and down. Same thing on the other side. Good. When those modifications become easier, you can also progress even more. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the arms up, the knees are still bent, and now my opposite arm, opposite leg are going to move. So I'm going to start off with my right hand and my left leg. I'm going to start off with them coming together, touching in front, coming down, and back up. Keeping the core engaged, making sure that you're breathing, making sure that you're not holding your breath. And then you would switch over to the opposite side. So now with my left arm and my right leg. Good. Same thing, keeping the back relatively still and coming back down. So for this next modification, you can use a wall or a chair, anything that you're able to stabilize the arms against, and you're going to bring the legs up. Once you bring the legs up, you can gently push into that wall or chair to lightly tap one foot down and back up, the other foot down and back up. Just as before, you want to make sure that you are keeping the lower abdominal engaged, keeping the belly button pulled in, but making sure that you are breathing. You should not be holding your breath with this exercise. So some people, it does help for them to be able to count out loud. That way they are able to maintain their breath and know they're not holding their breath. You can further progress this exercise by keeping the arms pushed into the wall or chair and then straightening one leg out and coming back in. So each time you progress the exercise from leaving the knee bent to straightening the leg, you are making it harder because now you have a longer lever that you have to support. And just supporting that longer lever, which is the length of your leg, increases the intensity of that exercise. Good. Same thing, making sure you are breathing. One final modification I'm going to show you is when you are doing more of an isometric based hold. Depending on how strong your core is, this may be something that you want to start off with some modifications, such as leaving your feet against the wall or even a chair. For the purpose of the video, I'm going to show you without that additional support. So you're going to have the arms up and you're going to bring the legs up as well. And in this position, you're just going to try to hold the back nice and flat against the ground, holding the legs so that way the knees are about 90 degrees directly over the hips, and just breathing here and just holding. If you plan on progressing to doing a dead bug where you're starting off in this position, I highly recommend that you give this a try, starting off with about 10 to 15 seconds at a time and then progressing so that way you're able to lower one arm and leg at a time. Those are just a few modifications that you can do for the dead bug exercise. Like I said, this is a very popular exercise, and if you're going to do it, I want to make sure that you can do it properly or at least begin working your way up to doing the full dead bug. There's no wrong place to start unless you're noticing that you're having pain or straining. So if you start off with one of the harder movements and you realize this is too much, there's nothing wrong with backing off. Building a good base and foundation for your core is important, so that way you'll be able to tolerate some of the more progressive activities, especially that full dead bug exercise.